You know, we all know that politics is local. To be a successful politician, you must address the problems that your constituents face every day. It doesn't matter if you're running for city council or county executive or governor or United States Senate or president of the United States. It doesn't matter. Voters want to hear about what you can do for them, how you can help them solve their day-to-day problems. What can you do to help them improve their lives? They want to hear about the issues that matter to them. And it's different for each person. For someone, it might be education. For someone else, it might be healthcare or climate change or any one of hundreds of issues. But people want to hear about what a politician will do to make their lives better. Well, all marketing is local too. And I don't mean geographically local. I mean, it needs to be local to your ideal client. If you want a steady stream of great clients coming to your law firm, then this is a concept you need to understand. Hi, I'm Sharon Christie, founder and CEO of Bold Women Lawyers and author of the Bold Women Lawyers Solo Success Guide. As a solo practice lawyer for over 15 years, I learned what it takes to get great clients. And it all starts with your marketing message. Now, I know, there are many lawyers who don't want to talk about marketing, but in fact, you can be the greatest lawyer in the world, but if nobody knows about you, you'll go bankrupt very quickly. So marketing is an integral part of your business. Whether you like that term or not, you can call it messaging, you can call it anything you want, but what it means is, how do you reach out to people who need your help to let them know that you're there and you're the best solution for their problems? So you have to start with the ideal client. Your marketing should be directed to your ideal client. Now, understand that the ideal client for me in my disability law practice will be different than the ideal client for you, maybe in your family law practice, or if you're a business lawyer or a trust and estates lawyer, whatever your area of practice might be. Your ideal client will be different from mine, but we all have an ideal client. And that's how you want to direct your marketing message to that person. You want to address the legal problem or problems that's keeping your ideal client up at night. What are they worried about? But you need to know the language that they use to describe the problem. Don't use legal terms, because unless your ideal client is a lawyer, and I'm sure there's a few practitioners out there who represent primarily lawyers, but for the rest of us, that's not the case. Our ideal clients are not lawyers and they don't understand legal terms. In fact, their eyes will start to glaze over when you talk about legal terms or you speak in legal terms. You want to describe things in their own words, in their own terms, use their same language. So you want to know, how does your ideal client describe their legal problem, the things that are keeping them up at night? How do they describe it in their own words? And in your marketing, you want to talk about these problems and talk about how disruptive they are to your ideal client's life. You want to talk about what you can do to help solve that problem and what's the result of you solving the problem. How will they come out on the other side? How will they feel? How will their life be different once they've worked with you and you've worked through this problem and you've solved it for them? You want to speak to your ideal client directly, like a sister or a brother or a best friend. You want to speak to that person directly and let them know that, yes, you do understand what they're dealing with and you do want to help. So how do you do this? Of course, you certainly have to know the basics about your ideal client. And by that, I mean age, education, occupation, income. The basic things are important, but that's just the first step, because ultimately you will use that to narrow down where you do your marketing. But that's just the first step. These are important characteristics, but you really have to dig deeper to understand and know your ideal client. So where do you start that process? Well, I would start with your current or former ideal clients, the clients that you loved working with, that you worked with the best, for whom you got a great outcome. Think about those clients and think about how they described their legal problems to you. What words did they use? What did they tell you about how this problem was affecting them in their day-to-day life? And I mean, things like, was it keeping them up at night? Was it preventing them from doing other things that they wanted to do, either in their personal life or in their business life? Whatever your area of practice is, how was the problem affecting them in all ways? What words did they use to describe the problem? And then how did they describe to you the outcome that they were looking for? Why did they need to have this problem solved? What did they tell you about how their life would be different once you solved the problem? How would it be better? Once this problem was gone, what then were they free to do that perhaps they were not free to do, before you solve the problem? So for example, if you're a family law attorney and you're handling a divorce, obviously before and after will be different. And what did they say to you about that? How was their life going to be different once you worked with them and you got them through the process? So think about that. And you know what? I've had clients say to me, coaching clients, I'm just not sure. And that's okay. Just ask them now. Think about the clients you're working with now that are great clients, that are ideal for you, that if you could clone them, you would, and have all of your clientele be like that person. Just ask them. Or if it's a former client, pick up the phone, call them, talk to them, tell them, just why you're calling. Let them know, listen, I loved working with you. I think we got a great outcome. I'd really like to have more clients like you. And it would really be helpful if I could talk to you a little bit about the work we did together. And would that be okay with you? And for most people, it's going to be great. They'll be flattered that you bothered to pick up the phone and call them to ask them a few questions. So go to those former clients or the current clients and ask them those things that I just went over. Tell me, how would you describe the problem that you came to me about? What was it doing to your life? In what ways was it affecting you? What did you expect when you came to me? And how would you describe the outcome that we achieved? And how did that change your life? And if you aren't already doing this, start incorporating those kinds of questions into your intake or your initial consult forms, or the questions that you ask right at the very beginning, and keep track of it, because this is the basis for your marketing message. So, let's say you just don't have anybody you feel comfortable asking, or maybe you're new to a practice area, so you really don't have any former clients or current clients in that area. Is there any other way to get the information? Yes, there is. Now, it involves using that word that so many people hate, networking. But there's so many ways to do it now. So for example, if you can participate in certain groups on social media, that's a great way to get information. Or you can attend in person, if it's happening in your area, interest groups that would be attractive to your ideal client. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean by that. In my disability law practice, I represented many clients who suffered from lupus. And so I did my own research on lupus to understand the disease better. But I also became active in the local lupus foundation group. And I spoke at their support group meetings. I talked about the Social Security disability process and what it entailed and what it meant. But I also listened. You know, listening is a great skill for marketers. I listened to what they said about their own condition, what they said about their lives. I picked up on themes that many of them would describe the same kinds of problems. What was very common in that group in particular was the phrase, "but you don't look sick." And that's very true for many lupus patients. You can't tell from the outside what's happening on the inside, but they would hear it from friends and family. But you don't look sick. Why don't you have any energy? You're telling me you're in pain, but you don't look sick. Why can't you go and do X, Y, and Z things with us? So I picked up on that theme very quickly. And that was something that I totally incorporated into my marketing message because I was speaking their language. I listened to the stories they told about their lives. I listened to, of course, the questions that they asked me and the other presenters in these meetings. And that's how I was able to understand so much better their lives. And I could use that information, and I did use it in my marketing messages. And that made all the difference. It brought to me a steady stream of great clients who had lots of different types of problems, but a steady stream of great clients. And clients would tell me that they came because they felt like I understood them. I understood what they had to deal with day in and day out. They felt comfortable with me as their lawyer. They had great confidence in my ability to handle their case because I understood them. That's the message that you want front and center in your marketing too, whoever your ideal client might be. Let your potential clients know that you understand their most pressing problems, and then tell them how you can help and explain what's the difference going to be in their lives once the problem is solved. It will make all the difference in your marketing. And once you do this, you're going to start to see ideal clients lining up to get your help. Implement these practices. It really works. Now, it takes a lot to run a successful law practice, and marketing is one aspect, but it's certainly only one. There are a lot of other key factors to running a successful solo or small firm practice. So if you're ready for a thriving six-figure plus business as a lawyer without having to sacrifice your sanity or your soul, then get to my website, boldwomenlawyers.com, and download my guide, the Bold Women Lawyers Solo Success Guide. There's lots of great information in there, but you'll learn a lot of things, like the steps I took to keep a steady stream of clients coming to my office and how you can do the same thing, and how to free yourself from the administrative work that has to be done to run a business. There's no question of that, but it shouldn't be done by you. So how do you free yourself up from that so that you have the time to grow your business? That's hugely important in running a successful law practice. And for some of you, I know that you are already ready to go deeper, to evaluate your practice and to figure out how to solve your biggest stumbling blocks, your biggest problems. Then a law practice intensive with me might be just what you're looking for. So you can go to my website, boldwomenlawyers.com, and book a practice and profit audit. And let's look at what's going on and see, if we can work together, if it makes sense, to build the practice of your dreams. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope these tips are useful to you. And don't forget to come back next week for another success tip.